Tonight, we're going to have the Korean War Commemoration, 1950 to 1953. And I've got a panel here that's going to talk, and it's quite a panel. There's one member missing, John Stevens. He was supposed to be here tonight, and I want to tell you a little bit about John Stevens. John Stevens is a hero. He retired as a lieutenant colonel, but he was at Pearl Harbor as a young enlisted Marine. And then he was in the Battle of Okinawa as a Marine lieutenant. And then he stayed in the Marine Corps, and he was a company commander of Able Company, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, when the Korean War started, and they mounted out and sent the Provisional Brigade to Korea, the Pusan Perimeter. And that brigade saved the day.
We know there's no glory in warfare. However, victory was gained in this very, very important war. The United Nations, led by the United States, stopped communism, secured peace and freedom for the people of South Korea. And I'll tell you a secret, saved the United States Marine Corps. Harry Truman, I admire, but he had a distinct opinion that the Marines were undeserving of all the recognition that they were receiving. He called on the United States to resist communist aggression. He appointed General MacArthur, and General MacArthur then called up the reserves, and the only force that he could put together was, in fact, the United States Marine Corps. And then General MacArthur said, Marines, you go and protect Pusan. And then after you do that, land at Incheon. And then after that, take Seoul. And then after that, march up into the Chosin Reservoir. These were incredible requests, but the Marines did it.
We needed more infantrymen in the battlefield, so they took a lot of artillerymen and put them into infantry. And you'd be surprised how many World War II vets we had in the artillery. And so they stayed with the guns, and we were out on our own. And this is where the fun begins. We realized that the Chinese had come in, and they actually tore up everything all around. There's only one road out, and that's the same road we came up. And there's no other road to get out. The Chinese know it, we know it, so they put up blockades and all this kind of stuff, and go on down and having different little battles here and there. And the weather, again, is 30 below, and the standard gear is a field jacket, gloves, not mittens, and we had a Parker. And that's what you had. And you had snowshoes, which you learn how to adapt to that. And I had a carbine, which is probably the worst thing to have in a freezing cold weather.
I was in Korea 101 days. I was in combat 98 of them. How many of you are familiar with the All Quiet on the Western Front, the movie or the book?
Yeah.
Well, that's where we were. We were on the Western Front of Korea in trench lines just exactly like that. And we'd had to defend those trench lines because, as Don said, he was in the last offensive unit that went through Korea, and they messed it up, so we had to be on the defense. I can say that because Don's a very good friend of mine, and I trained him when he went through tactical school at Tank Camp 2.
Yeah.
But they said that, you're going to hold this line. Well, the line was north of the 38th parallel. We were about 6 miles north of the 38th parallel. Reason for that, that's the way the hill line went. Trench is 5 feet deep, 3 feet wide, shoulder to shoulder, going down through those trench lines. Well, there were many nights that we caught incoming. And I know a lot of you are going to say, well, this has got to be a sea story, but we caught incoming to the amount of 300 to 400 rounds in 24 hours. We would be buttoned up in our bunkers for 12, 14 hours at a crack. And when we came out, the Chinese would be in our trench lines trying to take the line away from us. Well, we were very fortunate in repelling most of them.
We were defensive, and we had air power. So as a result, the days were rather innocuous. We spent our time in the bunkers, planning what we were going to do that night, and that usually involved recon patrols. If you ever want to test your mettle, take a recon patrol. I usually preferred 4-man patrols because they were quieter, but sometimes we went out in squad, 10, 12 guys. You're walking out in the middle of no place. Hopefully there's no moon. You know darn well the Chinese are doing the same thing. They're running recon patrols.
Between the departure from Hungnam Port on December 23rd, 1950, and the arrival at Kojedo in the South Seas on December 25th, even 5 children were born on board. This was a Christmas miracle, the greatest humanitarian operation in human history. And 2 years later, in 1952, the current president, Moon Jae-in, was born in Kojedo Island near Busan, where his parents disembarked from the SS Meredith Victory. So had it not been for the warriors of Changjin Reservoir, had the Hungnam evacuation operation not been successful, our president, Moon Jae-in's life would not have begun as it had, and he would not be here today.
Look at this.
There you are.
Thank you, Don. When I see and hear these gentlemen that Marines who fought in that war, I feel very humbled to get any kind of an award. It makes me teary. So, and the young man who's going, Semper Fi. You know, when I say humble, I'm looking at Don Reid, who's my neighbor, and I know how hard he worked to make the memorial that's in the Presidio work. I mean, really dedicated, and John was there by your side as well as many others. And it is the most beautiful, beautiful memorial. It's in the Presidio, and I hope most of you have gone there. And it looks out at, across the ocean where this terrible war took place. And there are places to sit and think about it, and think about the men and women who fought, who came back, and most particularly those who didn't come back.
We have from Senator Feinstein's office, Ms. Abigail Ellis, to receive this honor. Please, Abigail.
Thank you so much.
Yes, would you like to say a few words?
Of course. Hi, I'm Abigail Ellis from Senator Feinstein's office, and thank you so much for this award. She regrets that she was not able to be here tonight with you all, but she's so pleased to have this, and I can't wait to show it to her the next time that she's in our beautiful city. Thank you all for your service, and thank you, Don.
The Chosin Reservoir battle is the most studied battle in the world. Now, how do I know that? Well, I went to China with General Vesey in 1985. It was the first trip of any U.S. military to China since Mao Zedong had taken over in 1949. We went there and he agreed, General Vesey agreed, and he was Army, he agreed to speak at their war college. And he was there and he gave a good speech. It was translated and everything. After it was over, he took questions. And the very first question was, General Vesey, were you at the Chosin Reservoir? He said, no, I was not. In the crowd, you could see, oh my God, you know. And the president of the university had to calm him down. And he said, Mr. General Vesey, the reason they're acting like that is that they're required to study the Chosin battle and to write a report on it and what they would do different. And they thought that anybody that rose to any kind of rank in the military in the United States must have fought in that battle. So I have to tell you, it is the most studied battle just because a number of people that are studying it.